What's up, guys? This is Chokinator. It is like 4:30 in the morning, but the grind never stops. You guys know what's up. And so I'm going to be doing my Smash Q&A, but before I get to that, if you guys see movement under the blanket, I promise that's not a ghost or a poltergeist or anything. That's my dog trying to stay warm under the blanket. So if you don't be startled if you start seeing some movement. Anyway, I wanted to do one question at a time because I feel like I could answer some of these really in depth. And so I want to address Ivan's question first. Ivan asks, I have a serious question. Who are or were the longest active players, aside from you, in the 209 or Central Valley Smash community? And it's interesting he says, aside from you, because yes, I have been here the longest. And I want to start by saying, I don't really think there were any competitive players before me. Like, I tried to find them. I was on Smashboard since I was 13, so like since the beginning of 8th grade in high school. And I was looking for people who played Smash, and I couldn't find anyone. It was just me and my brother playing 64, and then when Melee came out, and we were like, okay, let's play no items. Let's be competitive with this. I was always challenging my brother. I think my brother hated it, to be honest, because my brother quit Smash at a certain point. He hated me just always being competitive and always being salty and always calling him a noob and stuff like that. And I don't know. I think I might have like salted my brother out. But anyway, during that time, middle of high school, we started having tournaments. Finally, we posted it on Smashboards. Some people found us, and we got like maybe 20. I think it was 20 to 25 people in our very first tournament, hosted by Park, at the Gaming Edge, and you said who are the longest active players, right? So I feel like I can go through the history of the Smash community and pinpoint who are the most active. And you by active I mean people who stayed and played for years. And Jamie is actually one of them. He has been there since the beginning. Was our first TO, and he like got a lot of people into the scene. Like, he got Brandon Homemade Waffles into the scene, um, and we just kept building it from there from our very first tournament. And that's where I met FTA, and you guys might know JR or KFC, who's been part of the scene since way back when. And then he had his crew, Dark Mike, rest in peace, Meep, Mexican, TC1, Mr. Pink. There was another guy. I guess DP joined that crew later. But anyway, FTA, which stood for Foot to Ass, which is actually one of the greatest crew names I've ever heard of. And JR still plays. So longest active player is probably JR, besides myself. And his skill shows. Like, I mean, he's always been good. One thing I like about JR is that I always considered him a rival because I think he beat me at my first tournament, or like his crew beat me at my first tournament. Second tournament, I beat them. Like, I think they eliminated each other, but then I beat JR in grand finals. And because of that set trade, like literally, like first tournament, he beat my Falco. I beat him in one friendly with Ice Climbers at the end of the tournament, and because of that one friendly where I beat JR, I ended up maining Ice Climbers. But anyway, to keep going with the question, like JR is probably one of the most active. He actually came back to the scene, started going to tournaments again. He got sponsored by TSG. Now he's on that net play life like the rest of us, which finally JR's playing that net play. But yeah, there was also like Homemade Waffles and Mac D, who are players who lived in our region before, and then they moved out, but they continued playing. So I still consider them to be part of the community, not necessarily the Central Valley community, but part of the Smash community as a whole. These are people that started with us, and then they just kept playing. They kept going wherever they moved to. And MacD, I think I want to note that MacD, I still believe, is the strongest player to come out of this region. I don't know if he's like still stronger of a player than Spark, but he has had a period of the highest results at majors. So there was a time period where MacD was placing ninth, at least ninth at every single major, which was really amazing. And then there are players that have been part of the scene since the beginning, but then they stopped and then they returned later. So like GK Infinity, Nick, obviously Jamie Park, and then KFC is also one of those. He left for a while, and then he came back. But I think beyond that, like up to 2008, that's when Brawl came out, right? So the scene pretty much died for Melee, and then we all started trying out Brawl. A lot of people quit pretty quickly. Some people played. Me and Jamie and Brandon played. Some of us tried to figure it out. My brother played, and We found a bunch of people. We had some garage tournaments. Again, Jamie, shout out to the original TO. Jamie was holding tournaments in his garage, and we were taking our shirts off, and it was crazy. It was hot, and it was cramped, and it was smelly, but those were some tournaments, guys. But anyway, I found a crew in Mantika because all my melee homies stopped playing Brawl, but I enjoyed Brawl, and I understood, I understood that, you gotta fight through the cheese, you gotta fight through Meta Knight, you gotta fight through tripping, like, I understood, like, I was competitive, I want to still be good at this game, so I gave Brawl a shot, and I kept playing it up until 2010, 2011, so I was playing Brawl for 2-3 years, so I was still part of the scene. Even when I moved to the Bay, I was still playing Brawl. But I had to find people in the valley that would play Brawl with me, and so I found a crew from Mantika. I don't remember how I found them. I think I found them through Smashboards, and they found my thread, and they're like, "Yo, let's play. I'll come over to your house in Modesto and we'll play." And I'm like, "Okay." And it turned out, oh shoot, these guys are pretty good. And to be fair, Brawl's early learning curve was pretty simple. It's a very simple game, very defense oriented, a lot of shielding, and so I couldn't just bully my way through these guys as like you could do in Melee. Like in Melee, you could just pick Falco and bully people who didn't know how to play. Brawl was kind of a different story. You had, you needed defense, and my aggressive nature didn't really fit that game. But anyway, I found the crew from Mantika, STDs, NWA, DNA, Junkie. He had a different name back then, and I think Young Mo was also part of their crew. Young Mo's still around, but he also plays Street Fighter, plays DBZ, plays Smash maybe from time to time. But you guys might remember Junkie, who stuck around, early Brawl days, and then came back for the early Smash 4 days. So as far as Brawl players, not a lot of them like stayed around, but I do want to give a shout out to NWA. He actually played with the Wiimote, and he made Ness in Brawl, and he was actually beating like Sean and beating all these like high ranked Meta Knights with Ness, and I was like, who is this guy? And he was like actually really amazing. So if you guys want to find NWA Ness Brawl on YouTube, shout out to that guy coming from our region, from Mantika. And I want to give a shout out to that crew for being like the Mantika scene for a while. So those guys are pretty sick. And then from that point on, I moved, like during the Brawl time, I moved to San Francisco. So that's the time where I actually got ranked in NorCal. But I wasn't, paying attention to the scene in the Valley. I don't even know if there was one. Nick might have been playing with some people. I don't really know. But as far as I know, there was little to no scene in the Valley during that time. But then I come home. I come home from school back in 2012. 2013, Project M is getting really popular. And I started trying to find people to play that, and I was trying to get back into the scene. I was, again, posting on Smashboards and posting on Facebook, like, trying to find some people. I started going to tournaments like Sacramento and Fresno, again, playing Project M and Melee, wherever Melee was. PM was actually more popular at a certain point. And then I found Mason Terry. He was, like, the first guy as far as, like, this new scene that I was building. He was the first guy that would like came all the way to my house from Waterford, and he just got bodied in friendlies over and over. We were playing Falcon Dittos, and I was just like playing, rotating on him, playing all these different characters. But he actually didn't mind at all. We played both PM and Melee, and he was just like coming over. He's like, he just wanted to play. He had this like gas guzzling fancy car, and he just came all the way over to play, and he was just maining Falcon and trying to get some sick knees and stuff. And what I love about Mason is just like, he just wanted to keep playing. He just loved the game. He loved Falcon, and he just wanted to keep going. And I kind of think that's sort of a theme in this video. Is like the people who stick around are the people who get good. The people who just want to keep playing for the love of the game are the people who are gonna stay. I'm not saying that you just play and you'll be the best, but I'm saying that the people who stick around for love of the game are just naturally gonna get better and better. During that time, too, I want to give a shout-out to a special someone, because he's not necessarily an active player. He does play, but this is when I met Greg, and I want to give a shout-out to Greg for being, honestly, one of the most important people in our scene, and one of the most, like, I think, I don't want to say underrated, but kind of one of the most underappreciated, overlooked people in our scene, and I hope everyone gives Greg credit for what he does, because I was the TO, right? I was TOing their first PM tournaments. I was trying to get the scene back together. I couldn't even gather people for Melee. I was hosting at my house. But then I met Greg, like, hosting some random Eventbrite tournament at a Mountain Mike's in Waterford. I went over there, and I found all these people that I didn't know. I found out that Enox had a PM scene. Shout outs to, this is when I met like Ching Squad, Ching, um, Ching. I think I might have met PJ around that time. I think I met PJ later, but like the Hatagawit brothers, Woody, Walty. I met Rhett. I don't know if that's also when I met. I think that's also when I met Skinny Boy Dre playing Project M. Just kind of getting into it. Like all these people you know from in the Smash 4 scene, some of them got started in PM. And like it was pretty much Mason and Greg, I think, that were the earliest. But as far as the longest active, I don't want to say that any player in particular from that scene was really active, but from that time period, the PM time period, that's when Greg was started being really active. So I think Greg is definitely one of the longest active players, or members of the community, TOs, that I want to give credit to. Soon after that, I met Spark, and the history of Spark is an amazing one. I actually met him. He actually got fourth place, I think, at his first tournament, or no, his first tournament he did bad. I think it was like Arcadian or something, and then his first tournament in our region was at UOP in Stockton, I believe. And he was playing Sheik, and I was really impressed. Like he actually had a ledge game. He had some tech skill. He knew to L cancel using like needle turnaround, like sweet, vanish sweet spots and stuff. I was like, oh, this guy's pretty sick. But he didn't have the fundamentals yet, so I just, picked a random character and beat him. I picked Pikachu. I think I might have random Pikachu, or just thought, okay, I'm just gonna pick Pikachu and beat him. And it was actually a pretty close game, I guess. And then over time, I started like rotating out of him. I played Falco against him, and then he beat my Falco. I played Falcon against him. He beat my Falcon. And then he eventually forced me into playing Ice Climbers. And then Zayd and I, shout out to this time period during Battleground where it was Battleground once a week, War Torn twice a week. And it was insane. It was like we were playing literally like 10 sets, at least 10 sets a week. His Sheik in various games versus my Ice Climbers, or my Ness in PM, or my Falcon in Smash 4. And I think Zayd, like obviously the strongest player in our Melee community now, still pretty strong in Smash 4 as well, strong in 64. He just plays Smash. Zayd is just someone who plays Smash. And his learning curve is very good too. Like he's very scientific about the way he approaches the game. He doesn't like to make mistakes. He likes to optimize. He likes to think of good strategies. He has a great sense. He has a good game sense. Doesn't always make the greatest decisions, but he's getting better. I appreciate Zayd. I appreciate Zayd for pushing me, and I appreciate the small rivalry we had until he surpassed me, and then I've been sort of like retired from the competitive scene since then. Not fully retired. You guys see me still play, but like I don't consciously choose to improve, whereas Spark does, and I feel like I've sort of passed the torch over to him to be really good. And he's grinding it out. So everybody support Spark. Now I want to talk about Smash 4. This is going to be the last part of the video. Smash 4, we really had a good scene with PM. We had a good setup. We had a good, Greg and I were hosting events. I was hosting at my house or wherever, at War Torn or whatever. Greg was hosting events, and Greg was always really good at being proactive and finding venues. Shout out to Greg being banned from some of his venues from time to time. But, TO mistakes. TOs know that these mistakes will happen. But shout out to Greg for always improving. And, Greg got a lot of haters for his mistakes in the past, but now Greg has a lot of lovers, including me. And I love Greg for TOing. But Greg, hosted a lot of Smash 4 tournaments. And then this is when I started meeting a lot of people, and then we got our scene started at Battlegrounds, which I think, in my opinion, is the most important, best venue that we've ever had for Smash. We were having tournaments, I think it was twice a week. I'm not sure if it's twice. I think at some point it was twice at War Torn and once at Battlegrounds, and then it started being like twice a week at Battlegrounds. And that was amazing for our scene. We had PM, we had Melee, we had Smash 4. The store was doing the TOing. The employees at the store were doing the TOing. Shout out to the store, by the way, Brianna. What are the rest of the names? I forgot the rest of the names, but I remember their faces. Brian, I think it was. Anyway, shout out to the Battlegrounds. I missed them. They sponsored like 5 or 6 of us. It was amazing. It was just a great setup. Like they sponsored us, they hosted tournaments for us, and it was just very, very unfortunate what happened to their store. So rest in peace, Battlegrounds. It was not the employees' faults. They were incredible for the store. Not our faults. It was just an unfortunate situation that happened. We could talk about that in another video. But this is when I met like Striker, Sawyer, Parker. So those are some of the guys I remember from the beginning. Skinny Boy Dre. I think there's a lot of people I might be forgetting. Mackerel. Like people just started learning. Okay, there's a venue in Modesto that's having tournaments every week. And I wish we still had weeklies like that somewhere. I don't know like where we're gonna have weeklies. I think Play Live Nation's doing weeklies now for Smash 4. But as far as all Smash games, I wish we still had weeklies. But we still got at least 4 or 5 tournaments a month for each game. But anyway, also spawning from the Battlegrounds scene was people who learned how to TO. So there's a shout out to, PJ. I think PJ was already TOing, but shout out to like Eddie and CJ who pretty much continued the Battleground formula after Battlegrounds disappeared. But yeah, I think those are all like the players that I would say that have been playing for a long time. I think there are a lot of new players that are good. Shout outs to you guys who are like climbing your ranks and having rivalries with each other. And I want you guys to keep going, and I want you guys to build that legacy and keep getting good and keep reaching your goals. And I think that's what it's all about. It's all about reaching your goals. And I think sometimes when people have reached their goals, they start to fade away from the scene. Like for example, myself, I think I reached my goal as far as how good I want to be as a player before moving on to other priorities. Like I reached my goals, and I'm not fading away from the scene, but I've sort of retired from my competitive nature regarding Smash. So I think I sort of went over the people. Let me know if I'm forgetting anyone, by the way, and also let me know if you guys have any more questions or what you thought of this video. I want to do more of these because I think they're really fun, and I want to keep sharing whatever knowledge I have with the community, and I want you guys to do this too. I encourage you guys to make videos and post threads and do whatever. Keep the scene alive. Keep the scene alive. It's not just the tournaments. It's the scene. It's communication. It's chat rooms. It's the Facebook. It's YouTube. It's everywhere. It's Twitter. Like keep the scene alive and keep being a part of the scene. And so you could be, you could have this legacy as well. So I want to thank you guys. I love you all. God bless you all, and I'll see you all in the next video.